All right. So we have the silence nailed. Got that part of the show done.
So obviously, I'm a little bit rusty. You're a little bit rock and roll. So let's jump right in, everybody. My name is Kelly Coffee.
And I'm Darek Fanton.
Welcome to Bitter Coffee. Or, show as I like to say, welcome back.
Welcome back to Bitter Coffee, a show we once recorded. But
produced
don't
and uploaded
now, but are trying to again. This has been the journey. As I'm sure will shock no one who's ever met either of us, or God forbid both of us. If you've ever been in a room with both of us.
Poor Hannah, poor Michelle.
Poor Michelle, poor Hannah. We have worked, diligently is probably an overstatement, but consistently to record a show over the preceding, I don't know, what's it been, 3-4 decades since we last recorded a podcast?
Yeah, yep, I believe.
Oh, by the way, this is Bitter Coffee. We said
we
didn't do it as like a standard intro. It's fine.
No,
it's fine. It's warts and all today.
Yeah.
To kick things off this morning, well, tell us about, where are you coming to us from, Kelly?
You know what? I don't even know anymore. I don't even know. So this is the first show in my new home.
Yes.
In Rye, New Hampshire. Moving from Vermont to New Hampshire, just gonna jump right in.
Yeah. Do it.
Big transition.
Yeah, for sure.
Big transition.
Yeah.
One thing that I've learned is that the only people worse than Maine drivers are Massachusetts drivers.
Yeah, okay.
And the fact that they drive like complete idiots is not the only reason they're called massholes. I'm just going to leave that there. And whoever happens to be listening, you can glean from that whatever you want.
I wish
Zero fucks are given.
I wish I had Tim on call to dial in to confirm all of these things that you're saying. I think that he would.
He would.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopeful that he would. I'm hopeful that I'm not, crushing that bridge that he and I are building together.
And from everything I've heard from my man Spose, famous Maine rapper Spose, the people who come up from Massachusetts are the worst people you will encounter on the roads, and they come up in droves for various seasons, for tourism reasons and vacation reasons. And so I'm sorry to hear that.
No, it's fine. So like I live like kind of, I'm not going to say out in the middle of nowhere. But
it's
like
Maine. Or it's New Hampshire. It's New Hampshire, but near
Same
Maine.
Thing.
Therefore,
I'm 15 minutes away from Maine. So like I have my neighbors in my cul-de-sac, and then I have the ocean, and then I have like this long, windy road that's totally residential.
Windy road.
Boom, boom. So for me to get anywhere, it's like a 15-20 minute drive.
Right.
Say I want to go to Market Basket. Say.
Sure. And you would say Market Basket for the record. Yes, I understand.
Yeah. I got to go pack at Market Basket this time of day. It's an hour out of my day. 20 minutes to, 20 minutes there, despite how tiny it is, and then 20 minutes home, which is totally fine. I don't mind that. Yeah, so when I go to work, I have to get on something called, I don't know, all of our listeners, from all of our Granite State listeners, I have to drive on something called the Spalding Turnpike.
Ah, yes, the Spalding Turnpike.
Which is kind of like the Autobahn, right? I should
no
not.
Rules, no speed limits.
Nothing. There is nothing. So I am used to driving in Vermont. And speed limit's 65. So, I would do comfortably 75 and everybody's fine. I'm following the flow of traffic. These MRFers. I'm in the right lane doing I am not even kidding, Darek, 85 miles an hour, and they're tailgating me. So you know what I do?
110. Yeah. I can't give that
space. First I was like, I'll give them the finger. But that's just going to, increase their aggression.
That just antagonizes, yeah.
So I just slow down. I'll slow down to a cool 65. And I can watch the rage building, and I'm like, hey, I'm just a 10 and 2, 65 mph kind of gal. Who cares?
10 and 2.
But outside of that, I mean, I think you and I have had conversations, and, you know, not allowed to talk about it, blah, blah. But leaving Winooski at the time we did was like, it couldn't have happened under like the worst of circumstances / the best of circumstances. I could not wait to get out. I'm happy we sold the house, and, you know, for reasons that you and I have talked about, which again, I'm not allowed to talk about. It was really good to get the hell out of there. I will say that I white knuckled it with like a clenched jaw for like the first hour of my trip when I left New Hampshire.
Yeah, and as the further away you got, the more relaxed you felt.
Yeah, so, and I got here and I was like, I'm just going to go sit by the ocean and do nothing. And it was just, I was relieved. And as you know, moving from one state to another takes a little while for folks to get their bearings. I'm going to say this, Michelle Pollardi is flourishing.
Well, she'd been sort of bi-coastal, a state, a Vermont, New Hampshire resident for a little while. And
I need to interject and say that sound did not come out of my body. I was moving the bench that I'm sitting on because I am in our sunroom because Michelle decided to... Why
are you in your sunroom, Kelly? Why is it a little boomy in the background?
Well, because it's really peaceful in here. No,
as opposed to...
Well, Michelle had hired some landscapers to work in the backyard, and they rolled up today with their chainsaws. So.
Kelly sent me a video, and then shortly thereafter called me at 5 minutes before record the podcast. And
totally tracks for us.
And is emblematic of what it has been like to get us dialed in together here. But just like there are some landscapers here. Just have a listen, and all I can hear is.
Yeah.
And like one of them fell while we were talking, and it was quite an ordeal happening at your homestead there. So I'm glad that you can come to us in the sunroom.
He beat the shit out of half a Christmas tree. Wow. I'd probably fall down too. He put a lot of, he really put he put his back into it.
Put his whole person into it. Yeah,
pretty much.
He can do it. Just got to put his back into it. Yeah.
So Michelle's been, she spent some time here before we moved here. And so I love Front Porch Forum. I'm a huge fan.
You're not alone. I have conversations with people about Front Porch Forum all the time.
It's amazing.
Shout out my coworker Holly, whose local Front Porch Forum is just stray cats. It is 100%.
Oh.
There is a cat who visits us. Is this your cat? Or there was a cat that we saw got hit by a car. Was that your cat? She will often mention to me that like if there's a post that she checks on her Front Porch Forum while she's at work, she's like, "Oh look, another stray cat, Derek. We got nothing but stray cats on Front Porch Forum."
Can they change that town specific Front Porch Forum to like Porch Cat Forum?
It should be. I mean? It really should be because it's just porch cats. Anyways, it does not shock me that you are a fan of the FPF.
We don't have FPF here. Oh, like,
what?
Oh my God, what did we do? But we have something that's really great, and it's called Nextdoor.
Nextdoor, okay.
Nextdoor. So I joined just because I like to be in the know. I like to know when somebody's, selling a dresser or whatever.
Sure.
A few weeks ago, there was, and I posted this, actually, it's months ago, I'm lying. A couple of months ago, which just shows how long it's been since you and I have had a conversation.
Well, let's pretend that we're like in the time warp, right? And that maybe we didn't take 8 months off. Who knows how long it's been?
Right.
But yes, a few weeks ago, air quotes, scare quotes.
A couple of weeks ago, recently.
Yep.
In recent months, Michelle and I were having this lovely afternoon, went and got the beach chairs, like the olds that we are, and went and sat by the beach. And all of a sudden she looks and she goes, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a really, pretty stack of rocks." And she's like, "No, over there." There was a deer in the ocean.
Oh.
Right? And I was like,
I love that song by DNCE, Deer by the Ocean. Wow, ocean deer. Who knew?
Ocean deer, yeah.
Followed you from Vermont, clearly.
I guess. Yeah, there's some kind of like wildlife preserve, hence the occasional gunshot that we hear.
Oh, okay. All right. Nothing but chainsaws and gunshots.
It's not a preserve. It's just, there's like a marsh that I'm actually staring at right now. And apparently that's where they shoot the ducks or whatever. Anyway, back to the deer. So Michelle took it upon herself, and there's maybe like 3 or 4 other people at the beach at this time because it was like October and not real beachy.
Sure.
Michelle took it upon herself to clear the beach.
Excuse me, people. Excuse me. We got a deer situation. We got a beach situation here.
She did the flailing of arms. You know what I mean?
Kind of like traffic control, beach traffic control.
East and west. We're going to need to clear this out. This deer needs to get back on land. And I was like, wow,
I didn't mean a 30-foot radius. Please create a 30-foot perimeter around the deer, people.
So this is not a drill. Me taking pictures.
Snap, snap, snap.
And yelling like, remain calm. So, I mean, she handled it like a champ. So I joined next door just to see, were there other people who saw that ocean deer? Oh, hey, Gwenny. How's it going?
Yes, Gwenny has joined us briefly to make an appearance. A shirtless toddler runs into frame and then runs back upstairs.
She looked like a Woodstock extra. Didn't she? Like a flared pant. And topless and like
we are at all times all along the watchtower here at Household Kelly.
Yeah, you really are.
Anyway, so you and Michelle are Michelle, you have very different reactions to the beach deer, which is not a shock to me.
So I went next door to see, like, hey, did anybody else see the ocean deer? Turns out
missed connections deer on the beach.
Miss Deer Connections. So I wrote this little intro like, hi, my name's Kelly. My wife and I moved here from Vermont, loving the seacoast, whatever. And I got like my neighbor across the street. I cannot say enough good things about my neighbors. I adore every single one of them. I would say the only folks that made better neighbors are y'all.
Oh, seriously. Thank you. That's very thoughtful of you.
Yeah, so I have to have you guys move in. We're figuring it out.
Okay, all right. Yes, if you can
keeping my eye on some real estate. Mm-hmm.
Mother-in-law apartment situation or a neighboring property, we'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, there's a house across the street, and I'm not going to go into detail over the podcast, but we'll talk about it later. Anyway.
All right, sounds good. Okay.
So I wrote this little thing, and, somebody sent me like a confetti emoji, and I was like, oh, that's really sweet. And I got maybe 5, 6 replies.
Nice.
So then Michelle was feeling a little bit out of the loop.
Sure.
And she said, I want to join.
I am also next door.
She called it neighborly. And I was like, all right, it's not, I don't know what that means.
It's a good name.
It's close.
Good name.
I know.
An app that was about keeping tabs on your neighbors, and it was called Neighborly, neighbor.ly.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what it's called, but
we'll put a pin in that. Okay. But again, ahead of her time, which we will get to in a moment.
Okay, all right.
So she said, I don't know what to write. I said, all right, yeah, I'll write something for you. And it was basically like the same thing that I wrote for my And the only difference is I put a waving hand emoji just to, add some spice.
Just to mix it up, sure.
Mm-hmm. She has 35 likes. People are like, oh my God, you're so great. So happy that you're here. I'm like, do you know these people? So, of course, I'm a child. So I'm like, wow, I've got some remorse for writing her this really great little intro, which was exactly like mine, yet I had a little bit of more flair.
There's nothing worse than when your ghost-written pieces get more fanfare than your bylined pieces. I can understand that. I can understand that.
So, we've worked through it as a couple.
Had a couple sessions on it,
Couple sessions. I opened up the app one day. First thing, Michelle Polarity's post is trending on Nextdoor. Son of a bitch. She's up to 40 likes or whatever.
What about me?
Yeah.
I wrote that.
So then she gets notified too, and she said, hey, did you see my my post is trending?
My post.
And I was like, it's trending on what? Just name the app. Name the app. And she goes, I don't know.
Neighborly.
So now she just calls it Backdoor Neighbors.
That's not better.
No. See my post on Backdoor Neighbors? I'm like, I don't even know how to answer that.
That is a completely separate organization.
Yeah. So
that is responsible for setting up the orgies that we spoke of on, I believe, the last episode.
It's the last
That's
episode.
how long it's been.
Mm-hmm. It was our orgy-rich episode.
I love the fact that anyone who has come to the podcast, Belle, in the last few months has the first episode that they see when they get to our page about our podcast is like "So Many Orgies, So Little Time" is the title of it. And so there's been a few people at work who have joined since last we recorded, and oh, you have a podcast. What's it called? And every time I'm like, you're going to go to this page, you're going to see the orgy thing, and that is going to shade your... You know what? It's fine. It's fine. Here you go.
Yeah. You're welcome.
So it's good that you have a platform called Backdoor Neighbors to set up such a thing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm super excited. Yeah, so there's that.
Oh, my God.
So then you had sent me something just yesterday, and like legit it was yesterday. So I think you and I had talked about this, I think on the last show.
Okay.
That Michelle has this weird way of just like twisting around phrases and things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, like chef's kiss.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, I want to say Channing Tatum, but that's not his name, right?
Jason Tatum.
Thank you. It's his younger brother. So Jason Tatum has this thing when he makes a good shot, he does this like chef's kiss thing. And
yes, this is Celtics for our non-sports ball listeners out there. One of the premier players on the Celtics team currently, Jason Tatum, who's very good at basketball, does this thing when he makes a 3-pointer where he does like he kind of kisses his hand and then puts up 3 fingers in the air. Yep.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. Yeah.
So when Michelle saw it, she started yelling, "Kiss of death." I'm going back. I mean, I'm going back so far back. It was prior to us recording our last episode.
Yeah, right. That's how long ago she started doing this. And yes, you had shared this with me about, because we'll often text during the Celtics games because I'm watching and I know you're watching, or at least on your phones while the game is on, like everybody. And you had mentioned that like kiss of death was what Michelle has called that for years now.
And like she will do the chef's kiss and then like a fist in the air and then yell kiss of death.
Kiss of death. Yes. And so we will now text that to each other whenever Jason Tatum hits a great... I'm sorry, Channing Tatum hits a great shot. We will text each other, kiss of death. And then, lo and behold, just yesterday on the official Celtics Instagram, did they or did they not have a short video clip of Jason Tatum hitting a 3, putting his hands up, and it was captioned, "Kiss of Death."
Thank you, Michelle.
I sent that to you, and I was like, Michelle, just ahead of her time, just a trendsetter in the world of sports broadcasting.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So, kiss of death.
Kiss of death.
It continues.
So once again, Michelle. Well, here's the thing. I mean, you and I had made the final decision to do a podcast together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it was Pilardi who like got the ball rolling. I mean, the Pilardi Foundation.
Again, the Pilardi Foundation is directly responsible for the existence and continuation of this podcast. She's made every effort.
Tatum's career success, I'm assuming.
Right. It does follow Jason Tatum's career arc. Like, let's not ignore that fact.
You are
causation and correlation being what it is. Like, let's make sure we recognize that Jason Tatum is clearly also responsible for this podcast. But yes, Michelle has been so incredibly supportive and so wonderful that, I don't think that we wouldn't have a show if it weren't for Michelle. So shout outs Michelle, who may or may not ever listen to this. I don't know if she listens to the show when she's not in the room.
No,
okay.
Yeah, no, I think she's off with the chainsaw people.
Giving them some notes.
I think her truck is gone.
Oh, so she may have just left the house. So
one of the things she likes to do, she likes to go to the garbage dump on Saturdays. It's a whole thing that we do.
Okay.
We go to the garbage dump. I think
we're going to the garbage dump today as well.
It's amazing because I refuse to pay for garbage. When it's... I don't mind paying for garbage. I don't have an issue with that. My problem is when I'm paying Casella to come and pick up my garbage, yet they don't supply the totes to put the garbage in. And you know what the response was? Yeah, we don't do that in Rye. I'm like, so wait a minute. I'm paying you like $80 a month.
Right.
For me to haul my stuff out to the curb, and you may or may not pick it up. And they don't recycle anything here. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to make enemies. I don't. Well, okay. I'll give you an example. Water bottles. You can recycle the actual water bottle, yet not the cap.
Not the cap. Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot. Anyway, you know what? I'm going to, as I always do, just defer to Blarney what to do, how to do it, when, why, and how. And if there's an issue, I'm sure that one of the posts on our backdoor neighbors will let us know that we're doing something wrong. I do know that when she goes to the dump, sometimes I'm not allowed to go. And when I say that, it's like for health and safety reasons, because on certain days there's an angry Santa Claus looking man who works there.
Oh boy,
And when you ask him questions, he bangs on a sign with a stick toward the answer.
What's a 30-gallon pail cost?
Bang, 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 bang. Yeah. And for me, that's just, I'm like sticking my foot in a bear trap when that shit happens. Like, I'm out of the car.
Health and safety reasons.
Yeah. So
I like that. It's
just better if I just
bucket term.
Stay home. What else is going on? You know what? I have to say this. I know that I've been telling people for a long time, like, yeah, we're going to do a podcast soon. I think... And
you cut out there for a second. I don't know if it cut out for everybody, but I lost you.
Am I back?
You've been telling people something. What have you been telling people?
Nothing.
Silence.
No, because we haven't done a podcast in months, so I've been telling them nothing. I'm not going to say that I've decided that a lack of a podcast has damaged friendships.
Okay.
But
not necessarily damaged?
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm sure there's, perhaps other contributing factors that are out of my control or, my scope. But let's do this, Darek.
Okay.
Let's give a shout out to some folks who have been very, very patient.
Absolutely. I agree. Yes.
Want to thank Kirsten. She's an aggressive listener.
It's like active listening, but different.
Right. It's like
aggressive
next
listening.
level up. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I want to thank Sarah. She's been more gentle and like, hey, what happened to that podcast you guys used to do?
Remember that thing I used to listen to every other week, and it was kind of important to me, but you've just taken it from me without explanation or recourse? Yeah.
I sure do. Yes,
I do recall. Yeah.
And when I was doing my internship, the person who was my supervisor chose to not listen to my podcast because I think he felt like it would have been weird.
Yeah.
But now he's a lister. So what up, Nick? Hey, Nick.
Yeah. Nice. In a similar way, I want to thank Lindsay. Who last time we recorded a podcast was my boss, and it has been so long that I now have a new, different boss at work. I still work with Lindsay, but she is no longer directly responsible for me. Good for her. But she has been very, very adamant. I would say each week that passes, especially the weeks in which I said, hey, we're going to try and do a podcast, and then I come in and there's no podcast. She has been very, very positive and very encouraging for us to get back in the studio. So when I told her we were getting together yesterday, I told her we'd get together today. She said, so the podcast will be out Sunday? So I don't want to put that pressure on you, but understand that there are expectations being built. So thank you. Thank you to Lindsay. Thank you to John El Diablo, who continues to be a huge supporter. Each time I see him, he frequents the breakfast shake and tea place that is right next to Gwen's daycare. And so I see him once or twice a week in the mornings as I'm dropping Gwen off.
Is that the place in Milton? Is it called like Beach Bubbles or something?
It's called Lake Life. Yes, Beach Bubbles.
So, all right.
You know what it is from now on? Fucking Beach Bubbles. That is for sure what it is called. But yes, non-podcast sponsor, but could be Lake Life Nutrition here in Milton. Okay, bye. Have fun. The ladies.
Is that the end of the show?
No, it wasn't. That wasn't for you. That was for Hannah.
That's a weird sign off.
It was a weird, sudden, and
yeah. No, you have a good weekend, weirdo.
Yes, so John, thank you for continuing to stick with us and being encouraging. And then everybody else who's just been like, what's the deal with the podcast, man? What's going on? Are you guys recording? Kevin has also been in my ear about it. Sarah Lavoie, we've talked about it quite a bit. There's been a few.
Your mom.
Of course, my mom. Let's not forget Glad, who has been incredibly patient about when we are next recording. Also, our man Tim Chang, who God bless him, has stuck with us on the chat on the Facebook group chat that we've got for Bitter Coffee, and I didn't want
your way.
Okay, thank you. I specifically did not want to set Tim up for disappointment by saying, "Hey, let's get together. Kelly and I are recording," because, I didn't know what chainsaws might come our way that would prevent us from potentially recording today. So we have no Chang report. We have no live Tim Chang. But at some point, when we're back on this thing regularly, we'll get Tim back on. So yeah, thanks to everybody who's been sticking with us and encouraging us to get back on the mic. We're here now. And who else is here? I have a new dog since last we recorded a podcast.
Yeah, you do.
His name is Tito. You're going to hear plenty from him in the next 20 minutes because he is desperately attached to Hannah as a bonded person and puppy. So he's just going to bark and bark and bark. But many things have changed. But we're back.
It's a nice compliment to the chainsaw.
It is. It is.
It's just, one is peaceful, two, woo, keep me awake. You know what I mean? It's like, just took some melatonin. Woo-hoo-hoo. I think it's been so long since we've done a podcast that I think we had a different speaker of the house last time we did a show, right? Jesus Christ!
We could have been recording podcasts over the last 2 weeks and potentially had no speaker of the house. Yeah. That's been a whole thing, has it not?
I've been oddly kind of obsessed with it, just because I don't know. I think it's because I don't like Kevin McCarthy.
Sure. Well, that's a good reason to be obsessed with anything, right? Yeah.
So just to watch him, I don't know, fail. I had an odd
I did see
enjoyment.
a meme. I saw a meme this morning of Kevin McCarthy's face superimposed over someone's face, and they were surrounded by pregnancy tests, and they were looking at one that said "not speaker."
Yeah.
And I got a kick out of that.
How many times do you need to basically interview for the same job, and be like, you know what, I'm going to try this one more time.
Rejected over and over and over. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. It's been quite.
But he worked it out, and I think when I was watching the coverage of it, and because I am who I am, I have this habit of whenever the Sky Rizzy commercials.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Nothing is everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no greater test of the resilience of a marriage than one person in that marriage singing the Sky Rizzy commercial over and over again.
Nothing will test your resolve more.
Nothing will test. No, nothing will. So I was watching all this coverage, and it's basically the same thing. It's on a loop. Yeah, they do a vote, and then he fails. And they do a vote,
it doesn't pass. Yeah.
Sky Rizzy commercial, vote failure. So finally Michelle said, "What are we doing? This is just on this, we feel like it's on a loop."
Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day. Yeah.
So then I tried to just kind of lighten the mood by singing the Sky Rizzy commercial a few different ways.
Oh, in different versions. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I did a tap dance version, which I thought was rather successful, but apparently I mismanaged my thoughts on that.
The Gregory Hines version of Sky
pretty
Rizzy.
Much. It was like a jazz hand and like a spin in the air kind of thing, or as much as someone like me can spin in the air at this point in my life.
Jew.
Yeah. I did a bluesy rendition.
Oh, nice.
And then she finally, because I don't know if...
Put your finger in your ear? Did you do one of those? Did you do a Mariah Carey?
Of course I did. I do that all the time. Okay. Thank you for the really odd segue.
Sure.
I had... Because I feel
and hang on, I want to make it clear to the listeners that I am not whining as Kelly is talking. That is Tito,
Well,
who has joined me on my lap so that I may console him about the fact that his mother has left the house. And so if you hear just frequent whining, I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I'm saying in this instance, it's not me.
No, I think it would be, if it were coming from, it would be more of like a whimper.
It's
than
true.
a whine.
It's true.
You know?
I whine more from the diaphragm, whereas Tito whines more from the throat. So
right, he's more throaty in his whine.
More throaty, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. So anyway,
no,
so
it's totally
the
fine.
segue that I provided you unwittingly.
So I have found, I've studied the data, and I believe that your daughter and I basically suffer from the same illnesses and ailments pretty much at the same time.
It does seem to be the case, oddly enough. Yes. Yep.
Has she had an ear infection lately?
She had a suspected ear infection. It was never confirmed, but we thought she did. She had a sore ear, and so yeah. Did
Same.
you also? Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I had this, what turned out to be an ear infection for, I want to say, maybe 2 weeks.
Oh gosh.
But didn't know that the ringing in my ears that I've been walking around with for literally years
Oh my gosh.
was connected to that. I just thought, like, this is just where I am.
I just have tinnitus, and that is the way of the world.
That's it. Like, I have to turn on a fan when I go to sleep because the ringing's really loud.
Drown out the sound. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I had to go to urgent care. Okay, I'm going to say this about New Hampshire. One thing I love many things about New Hampshire. One thing I do love, you can just roll up to an urgent care. There's no,
That's
there's
cool.
no chaos
Yeah.
in the waiting room.
Yeah.
There's rarely someone screaming. You can reserve your place in line beforehand, which is
They
very
want
civilized.
you to continue to live free rather than die. That is their goal. Right. That's nice.
Exactly.
That's nice of them. That's nice to see.
I mean, buy a house and ride. Nothing's free, my friend. But Jesus Christ.
This living free thing's really not panning out.
I need the living free part. I got the dying part down. So I went and I had my ear irrigated. And I'm like a brand new person now.
Wow.
I think I scream a little bit less.
Who knew? Run a little saline through your ear canal and you'd be right as rain. Wow.
That's it. Yeah, I feel fantastic. Yeah, I feel like a brand new person. I feel like $1 million bucks.
Is it going to be a regular thing you're going to have to do, or does this feel like a one-time deal?
You know, here's the weird thing. Every single time this happens to me, I think, well, that's really weird. And then I take a moment to reflect. This happens to me like every 8 to 10 months.
Right. It's not weird at all. It's quite regular and quite expected.
Which is why you've asked the question knowing the answer. I'm like, can you believe it? I had an ear infection, Michelle. And she's like, right. I've known you since 2011. Do the math. You've had a few of these. So for those of you playing trivia at home, it's always the left ear.
In case you're curious. In case
Left
anybody
ear
tries
Lopez.
to convince you that they're me and they say they have a right ear infection, you can say, no, my Kelly has a left ear situation going.
Exactly.
Yeah, my wife will frequently ask, like, we're upset tummy club here at the Phantom household. Like, we are constantly in some sort of intestinal distress. And so Hannah has a great ability to understand, like, what has changed in her day-to-day. Like, she has a really good understanding of, like, what she's putting in her body and what she's doing on a day-to-day basis that might be different. I have no self-awareness about, like, what I do to myself. So there will frequently be times where I'm like, man, I just can't even, I'm like, my stomach is so upset and I just feel so awful and I just don't know why, and she'll be like, well, what did you eat today? And I'll be like, I had like 6 gummy bears and a double bacon cheeseburger. I don't see why that would be a problem.
Those would seem completely normal.
Be an issue. And she'll be like,
yeah,
that's probably what's going on. So it's nice that we have people in our lives who keep better tabs on what we've got going on than we do.
Absolutely.
So that we can maybe find some resolution. But I'm happy to hear that the emergency care there in New Hampshire has been kind to you.
Wonderful.
Good.
Not that I want to go there, but when I find the reason to go there.
You're not looking for reasons to go to the urgent care.
I'm really not.
They're there when you. Speaking of emergencies.
Okay.
The one thing I did want to chat through with you today. So we had some crazy weather up here in the Northeast right before Christmas. Mm-hmm. So just before Christmas, both you and I experienced some pretty gnarly weather conditions. So you being right on the ocean, we've had a weird winter. It was really warm for like the week before Christmas. And then we had this crazy storm that blew in. And you had some serious flooding. You had, if anybody's not following Kelly on Instagram, highly recommend. Little plug for Kelly's Instagram account.
Hey, thanks, Stevie Wonderwall.
Stevie Wonderwall over there on Instagram. And oh god, I had it Wonderwall stuck in my head the other day. Quick joke for you. Hannah had been asking me repeatedly to stop playing and singing Wonderwall over and over again. And she said, "Can you please stop doing that?" And I said, maybe. Anyway, so terrible joke. So we had some crazy weather, and you had bad flooding by the ocean. We had lost power. So we lost power on the Thursday before Christmas.
Kill myself.
And I have not we had rented from you and Michelle, and that's where we had lived for a long time. And then we had a condo where we lived for quite a long time, fed by the centralized resources of the local power company and the local water company and gas companies. And now we have a home in which we have an electric co-op, which has a pretty small usership. We have a well, and we have a propane tank. And so we're not off the grid, but we're on the edge of the grid.
I think your daughter running around looking like a hippie makes a lot more sense now.
Not wearing shirts, apparently, really speaks volumes. Mm-hmm. So we're not, like you, we're not in the middle of nowhere, but we're also not, like, in the middle of a city. And so we lost power. And I don't fancy myself an electrician. We've got people for that. Hannah's dad is an electrician. That's where that's where the expertise lies. But we lost power, and it became clear very quickly. My neighbor came across the street that morning as the wind was blowing at like 50 miles per hour and said, "So yeah, you got your generator set up?" And I love that he assumed that we had a generator, A, and that B, I had set it up. And I said, "No, we're gonna go get one." And he goes, right now?" It's like, well,
we're thinking about it.
That's the plan. And
making moves.
He was like, well, based on past experience, like we could be out for a few days. And so, as it turned out, we were in fact
Huckleberry Finn.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Damn it. We really should have been on top of this. And so we did not have power from Thursday through Christmas afternoon. And so I got to learn all there is to know about setting up, wiring a generator.
You call it a Jenny, right?
The Jenny. Okay. Yes, we got the Jenny set up and fueled, and it's running, and it was running smoothly. I won't get into the fact about having to build a cable to wire it to my house from scratch because nobody had those cables because everybody else was had forethought about this and had already purchased them all in the greater Chittenden County area. That's not what I wanted to talk about. What I want to talk about is people in emergency situations. So let me set the scene. 2 scenes for you here. First, I'm at Hannaford on the morning of the storm before power went out. After I had dropped Gwen off at daycare, getting some supplies with the understanding that we're probably going to, be without services for a little while.
Sure.
And I'm at
So you want to load up on gummy bears and double
Exactly. Gummy bears and double cheeseburgers. Very important to capture before, we lose access to those things. And
totally.
So I'm at the grocery store and the power goes out at the grocery store. Now, first of all, I've never experienced that before. That was a first in my life. And so I'm in the cooler section and I'm wheeling through the frozen peas and the power goes out. And there's probably 10 people in the aisle because it's busy because we're not the only ones who had this thought. And and so I'm like, okay, power's out. I'm going to hang here for a sec. I'm immediately interested in what everyone else is doing.
Of course.
And so there was a woman very close to me who absolutely freaked out. maybe perhaps wasn't aware that power existed or that you could lose it or that the storm outside might impact it, but she flipped out. So she's there with her husband, boyfriend, I don't know, person that she's with.
Sure.
And she's like, oh my God, Jim, oh my God, the power's out. Oh my God, what are we going to do? And meanwhile, the roof is not collapsing. There's no electricity. And I was like, this is emblematic of a difference of either life experience or how you react to situations. And so, meanwhile, her husband is stoic, is Van Damme about the whole thing. Clearly, he's experienced this kind of reaction before.
I was going to say, this isn't his first power outage.
This isn't his first rodeo with this kind of reaction. And, it started to make me feel like I had to do something to help her.
Did you just swaddle her?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Did she need a hug? Did I need to find a blanket? Because that's what you do
got
when people
this, girl.
are injured. Yeah,
you got this.
You're gonna get through this. Just take a few deep breaths.
Look right in my eyes, stranger lady. Right in my eyes.
Don't get me wrong. People at the grocery store ask me for help all the time. The short people want milk. They want things off the top shelf. I'm used to people at the grocery store asking me to assist them. And
that's what we need.
I was like, is this one of those scenarios? Am I being drafted into response here? And so immediately I texted Hannah and I said, I think I should just go to Lowe's from here and get a generator if they have one. Because this woman is a clear indication of how other people are going to deal with this over the next couple of days.
Right.
And I'd like to just be at home. I'd like to not have to go to a hotel or anything like that. Sure. And so went home, picked up Hannah. We went to Lowe's. So we're now at Lowe's. The wind is blowing, like I said, 50 miles an hour. It's hard to get inside from the car because it is literally blowing you down in the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
And so we get inside, we go to the, and so Hannah goes, where are generators? And I said, look for the big group of panicked people.
Yeah.
And so we literally walked in, we looked around, and we could see a stream of humans headed in this one direction. I'm like, the generators are over there. And so we go over there. The aisle is empty of product. There are probably 15 people in the aisle staring at an empty rack where generators once resided and just hollering at each other. Just having a fit and panicking about what they're going to do. Now, we went there knowing we screwed up. We should have handled this months ago, if not at least weeks before, because we knew this storm was coming. And so we're relatively calm. We're just kind of doing our thing. And there's a woman who clearly works at the Lowe's because she's wearing a vest that says Lowe's on it. And no one is talking to her. They're just yelling at each other about stuff. And so we wander over to the woman and we're like, obviously, we're the 300th person to ask you this question, but do you have any generators? And she said, actually, we have 3. They just came in on the truck. They're in the back. They're getting ready to bring them out. I said, are they already spoken for? And she goes, no, because none of these people seem to want to talk to me about it. And I was like, you're my favorite person. Can we go? Can you show us where these are? Can we put one on the cart and buy it? And she was like, sure. And so we leave this teeming mass of anger and desperation, and we go around the corner and put our generator on a cart and wheel it over to the register and buy it. I had to go back to get a gas can after we had gone outside with the generator, and
you were mauled. And
it was so they had brought the 2 generators in that were left. Somebody had already bought one of them. There was one left, and I thought we were going to have a Hunger Games, Batman pool cue fight type situation over this one remaining generator. I could not get out of there fast enough. But suffice it to say, people lose their minds when it comes to these kind of scenarios. And I just want to give a shout out to that woman at Lowe's.
Do you know her name?
I wish I did. I did look at it and I did call her by her name at the time, but so much else happened between that moment and getting set up.
You were fighting for your life.
Well, I was also trying not to burn our house down with my limited knowledge of electricity. I mean, the way that this house is wired, we live in the sticks, and so they had set it up so that you can basically attach a generator to the house and run your whole house.
Sure.
But there are are dangers to that in terms of like running 6,000 watts from the generator through your home. And so that was what I was mostly focused on. But I do want to thank her, whomever she was. Maybe someday I'll go back to that Lowe's and track her down and thank her for her help, because my gosh, I don't know that we would have gotten through things. She was so calm and so wonderful.
Let's call her Barbara.
I like Barbara. She was a Barbara. She could definitely be a Barbara. And so thanks, you, Barb, for all of your help making sure we had electricity. And generators, I'm sorry, Jennies are magic. Like the idea that you don't have, and this is just me being a privileged like person who, first world problems, but like the idea that you are generally fed electricity, and then the electricity goes out that you were being centrally fed, and then you can plug this thing in, put some gasoline in it, start it up, and you're right back to business. Like everything in our house ran on this generator, and again, once we got through all of the machinations of getting it set up, it was really incredible. Like it was not lost on me how cool that is that we have the technology. And this is just nerd Darek coming out, but like the idea that we had the technology to be able to make this happen was pretty effing amazing. I don't recommend it. If you can live somewhere that doesn't have long-term power outages, do that. That's better. That's a lot more convenient when you have a toddler and you're trying to do Christmas and all that stuff.
But
we got through it. Thanks to Barb and thanks to that Jenny. So
God bless Barb. So did you do the kind of thing like when you had your Jenny up and running, did you and this is what I would do. I'm assuming you would do something similarly. Like you flip on a light. Would you look at that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Look at that. And then you turn it back off. I don't want to waste it, but look at that.
Yeah.
Flip it back off.
100%. Made some crock pot candy, which I do every Christmas. I make these little peanut clusters. And like crock pots are big wattage? I don't know. They pull a lot of power. And so I remember saying to Hannah, like, I bet we could run the crock pot. I'm going to just do it. I'm just going to do it, and I'll check the Jenny and make sure it's not overloaded, but turned that crock pot on, made that candy. I said, would you look at that? Would you look at that?
I'd be remiss if I didn't offer one of many Apollo 13 references that you and I have made on this show.
Okay, all right.
Was it a matter of like, we could put on the Christmas tree and the crock pot and maybe a microwave and a teapot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it
I'm
could
telling
go
you
like a certain amount of voltage. You know what I mean?
You're telling me what you need. I'm telling you what we got. Okay?
Right.
I'm telling you what we got. This is the amount of voltage we've got to work with, and we got to find a way to get under there. Yeah, I had to backfeed the line to make sure we had enough power to run the well pump. No. We were fortunate that the generators that they had remaining, the ones that they had in, the reason they probably still had them was that they were overkill for a lot of instances. Like it's a 6250, over 6,000 watts, which for big houses that wouldn't be enough. But for ours, like it could run everything. And it had a little readout of like percentage usage on it that was never above like 40%. And so we were always fine. But no, that did cross my mind as I was setting it up when I just wasn't sure how much power we were going to pull out of it. I was like, is this going to have to be like a Tom
turn
Hanks.
This off to turn that on.
Right, Gary.
Call Ed Harris.
Am I going to have to be Gary Sinise in the lander trying to go through scenarios? Listen, I can get you the fridge. I can get you the fridge. Yes, exactly. Measles free. I get you the fridge. I can get you the well pump. And I can get you the furnace. Atop from that, if you're going to need lights upstairs or downstairs, you got to give me something. You got to give me something that I can work.
No crock pot candy. There's no
crock pot candy here. No way.
We thought about getting a generator, and then I said, it just seems like a lot. But nobody around here has lost power in a while.
Yeah.
But then I realized why. I'll give you one guess. You want to know why?
Why?
Because they all have generators. That's why.
We hadn't noticed anyone without power. I don't understand.
No, we haven't lost power in years. I'm like,
they have a generator.
That big thing that kicks on the side of your house prevents that.
Prevents the need for that, right.
So I think we're going to do that. I mean, we have spent, since the end of September. Actually, no, let me back up. We have spent since, I would say, August doing renovations on this house.
Oh, boy. Goodness gracious.
I'm a little renovated out, I tell you.
Imagine so. Feeling real over-renovated right now.
My ability to go to a Lowe's and pick something out and put it in the car, and no, I can't.
No,
I can't do that right now. Michelle can. She's totally into it, but like I can't. So I mean, it's added to the things that we're going to do. But my focus for like a safe and healthy and happy home, yes, generator's high on the list.
Yeah.
But higher up on the list, brand new bar cart in the living room. I needed to get that up and running. Right? Because you don't need electricity for that.
I don't need power to make myself a Negroni Spagliato with Prosecco in. That's for damn sure.
Exactly. Priorities.
Can I get the gin from the kitchen to the living room? I don't care about your power from the pole to the house, all right? I just want to know, do I have effective and efficient alcohol transportation?
And I'm sure in, days of yore when they were, kind of making a bee's knees or whatever, candles were fine. They didn't need electricity to do that.
Exactly. They found a way. Fine. So why can't we? But what they needed was something to put the crystal bottles on, and they found it in a bar cart. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm pretty goddamn proud.
The other big purchase other than the generator that we've made recently was a TV. You can see the old TV here behind me in the background.
I can.
The listeners can't, but it is here. So the TV that used to be upstairs is now right behind me down here in the basement. And we got a new TV for upstairs, and it took a month from point of purchase to get that television to our home. If you have never had to deal with getting something delivered to your house that is an expensive purchase, we've been trying to buy a new TV for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And the first one we bought took 4 months to get to us. And when it arrived to us, it was in about 1 billion pieces.
Perfect.
And so we sent it back. The next one I had to take like 8 months off of buying a TV because I was so annoyed by that process. And so then when I did buy a new TV, the delivery got canceled like 4 times for one reason or another. I'm not going to get into it. I then had to go actually like wrangle my neighbor to go pick up this television and bring it to my house.
Ooh, it was neighbor wrangling caliber.
Yes, exactly. Because we don't have a vehicle that will fit a TV of that size. And so we were joking about the fact that during that process, we had bought the TV. We had not bought a generator. So in terms of priorities, I just want to point out that bar cart makes sense. That resonates for me because we definitely bought a big TV before we bought a generator, and then we didn't have power, and boy, did we feel silly. But what's funny is that in the interim between ordering the TV and getting the TV, we did end up buying the generator in between. So technically, we did get a generator before we got the TV, so we feel better about it. We're responsible adults.
I think both a bar cart and a generator are a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of setup, a lot of assembly.
Yeah, ton of assembly.
Well, I look forward. If anybody has bar cart recommendations out there in listener land, please let us know. Kelly and Michelle in the market. It turns out.
So we ordered appliances for our kitchen. Mm-hmm. And we got them through a company called Big Chill.
Oh, I've heard of this company.
Kind of retro, cool looking. I learned that they're just basically Whirlpool with a different logo or whatever.
Yeah, sub-brand or something.
Yeah. So we ordered fridge, dishwasher, and stove.
Nice.
And we would get periodic emails and, hey, your stuff's coming. Okay, great. Mm-hmm. So we would adjust our schedules accordingly. Uh-huh. And the fridge showed up.
Okay.
Oh, but not the stove and the dishwasher. And as the guy's driving away, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea.
It's not on my manifest. Not interested.
Yep. Yeah, one guy, he pointed to the clipboard. He's like, that's all I got. I'm like, all right, whatever.
I don't know if you want to get it.
I'm going to get all that. We did get the dishwasher. And it was broken, and the inside was in, not unlike your television, about 1 million pieces.
No.
Mm-hmm. So for spite, we angrily packed it back up and got something else. So our Big Chill motif is kind of...
Is it just on the yard? Is it on the lawn? Is it just hanging in the yard as
Man, that would be amazing.
A warning?
No. We had so much spite that we actually sent it back. Had somebody come and pick it up.
Busted ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we went and got something at I don't know, Best Buy or whatever. We're still waiting for the stove because they're both green.
Oh, fancy. Fancy.
You know, I'm a huge fan of mid-century modern.
Yeah, I do know this about you. I do know this about you.
Derek, I have a bar cart, okay? I'm a different person now.
That is, by the way, mid-century modern, the Kelly Coffee story.
Yes,
Just saying, from an autobiography standpoint.
Well, I mean, I think I have two titles of my is it memoir or memoirs?
I think depends on how annoying you want to be about the title. If it's a normal person, it's a memoir. If it is someone who feels as though they are more important than others, I believe it's memoirs. I believe that's how.
There's my answer. Anyway, the working title I've had for about 25 years is Whore on Christmas.
Yes, yeah, I believe
the time that my aunt called me a whore on Christmas.
Whore on
now,
Christmas. Yep.
So I think mid-century modern. A Kelly Coffee story. That would be more like a Lifetime movie network.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we can work
Netflix-sponsored movie starring Lindsay Lohan.
So I've stopped watching the news except for Kevin McCarthy. You know what I'm watching now, and I'm like low-key obsessed?
Tell me.
Survivor.
Oh, God, you were silent. What?
Survivor.
Oh, no way! You're watching Survivor.
Oh, my God.
Are you in, the Survivor back catalog? Because there's, 143 seasons of that show.
There is. I picked a season. I don't know what season it is. Somebody named Coach is on it. He's like a creepy soccer
Survivor
coach.
aficionados will let us know what season that is.
Yeah, I think he's been on a few because I Googled him and then I was like, oh my God, I'm going to find out whether or not he wins. And I quickly got out of that window. But I might have seen a thing or two that he was on more than one season.
Interesting. They do seasons of champions and stuff with that show, right?
I think that's one of the ones that he was on. He was like a runner-up or something. But he claims that he was in the Amazon. Like, who goes there? And he was kayaking.
Like the warehouse?
No.
Oh,
the actual
Amazon. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. That big body of land that was named after the warehouse, and he claims that he was kidnapped by folks in the Amazon, some indigenous people.
All right,
and they tied him to a stake, and they beat him nearly to death, but he was able to break free, and he had to kayak away so quickly that his hands were bleeding. So I'm as somebody who's, laying up in the bed watching Survivor, I'm like, this doesn't seem very believable. And there's people that have been starving themselves for, upwards of 4 weeks now that are like, yeah, that story's totally bullshit. So that's what I tried to Google to find out if it was actually true. I don't think it's true.
I feel like the percentage of people who claim to have been abducted and kidnapped in the Amazon versus the people who actually have is pretty low. I feel like it's a pretty low percentage of.
See, here's the thing. If I were let's just say that you and I were doing a podcast in the Amazon and we were kidnapped, just I don't think I'd want to really talk about it.
I think you're probably right. I think you keep that kind of thing to yourself.
And so he was saying to his tribe, now that the tribes have merged, throwing out a lot of Survivor terms, which let me know if you want me to slow down. He was like, there's 3 people in the world that know this story. I'm going to share it with just the 6 of you.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm thinking, does he not know that there are cameras all around him?
Let's keep this just between us.
Yeah. So here's a question for you.
Okay.
Say you were on Survivor, let's just say. I've noticed that people are wearing the same article of clothing. Wouldn't you bring a change of clothes, even if you hang them off a tree?
Right.
After washing it in dirty mud water or, whatever.
So this is going to be a weird connective tissue thing here, but also I will note that the people on the Great British Bake Off wear the same thing both days.
Wait!
So if you're on the Great British Bake Off, I've wondered this for years, and I've never bothered to Google it. I don't know if it's a conversation that exists on the internet elsewhere. But you notice,
let's just unpack it right now.
So, are they asking them to bring 2 or providing them with, perhaps, two of the same outfit? Or are they wearing the same clothes both days? Now, I understand the reason they do it. They do it for cutting. They do it so that they can actually cut scenes and things between days to edit the show together. So they want to be able to show. So comics do this when they do multiple days to record their show. They'll wear the same outfit so that they can take clips from either day or whatever. And so, but I've always wondered, like on the Great British Bake Off, are they telling them they need to buy two of the same outfit? Are they just wearing the same clothes from the previous day? It's always bothered me that when they walk in that second day for the showstopper, they have the same outfit on. And I'm like, what? Why? What? Tell me about the background of that. So I say all that to say, perhaps on Survivor, they're not wearing the same thing. They just have like 6 of the same ratty tank top, maybe. I don't know. Could be. I'm not sure. But it...
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Absolutely.
Is it possible that they're filming more than one episode of the baking show in a day? They are wearing the same clothes?
It is possible that it's the same day and they just... because they reference the fact that it's like day 2 all the time. Like they say that a lot. But like I wonder if they're filming everything in one day. To me, I get the impression that they're not. And that they literally are wearing the same clothes both days. But if they weren't doing that, if they were just filming all the one day, why make this big thing about them doing it over 2 days? Just say it's one day. Who cares? Like, the weirder thing is that if they're saying it's 2 days and they're wearing the same clothes, they never reference the fact that they've got the same outfit on for both days, if it is in fact 2 days. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in this, but it has always bothered me. I'd be fascinated to hear from other, Bake Off fans if this is something you've ever noticed. And if you've not ever noticed it, and now you will, I apologize. I'm sorry, but it is weird to me. So anyway, Great British Bake Off and Survivor, very similar programs. And so I can understand why there'd be some connective tissue there. So.
See, this is what I really miss and what I enjoy. You and I, once again, are just like really tackling these tough topics, which is, I think, why people
we're having the conversations no one
show.
Else will, right? Is that the point
because
of
they don't have the guts to do so.
Exactly, they're not willing to go there, and we are.
Right? I applaud your bravery and your candor, really do. But now I'm going to be obsessed with, oh my God, they're wearing the same clothes for days at a time and they're cooking food.
Your bravery. Yeah, right. Are there cuffs stained with flour and or jams and or caramel from the previous day's work? I don't know. I couldn't say. It's just a strange situation to me.
I don't have enough of a memory to remember if they would have to. The judges have to wear the same clothes as well, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Just a side note, I almost said the word closes. They wear the same closes, right?
Underappreciated part of parenting is tense use with children. I goad to school. Have we talked about lasterday and yesternight? That my daughter references the day before as lasterday and the night before as yesternight. And I don't know why we don't do that, because I love those words and they're wonderful. And I think we should all, going forward, I think yesterday is lasterday. Yeah. And last night is yesternight. I think that's great. I'm taking that with me in going forward.
Into 2023.
Into 2023. New me, new way to say yesterday.
It's because I was looking for something. I'm so glad that you brought this up for many reasons.
I am only here to motivate you and remind you of things you want to talk about, Kelly. That's my whole role. Everyone can confirm who's listening.
And right back at you. There's a phrase that I use. Well, there's 2 phrases. So every year there's here's the new word that's in the dictionary, and here's 10 phrases and words that you need to stop using because
right. We're over these.
Society. Yep. And there are 2 that I use all the time. Okay. So 2 out of 10, maybe 3 out of the 10, but these 2
that are on the list of ones we should stop using. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Oh no, there's 3.
Okay.
Amazing.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a phrase that I started saying much more frequently during my first internship, but I learned it years prior, and I've said this to you a million times. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Does that make sense? No longer I'm banned. As far as like, I think it was Time Magazine or something. Yeah. So
what do they know? Honestly, like, what right do they have to tell us how to speak and what to?
There is no way in the world I could ever stop saying. Does that make sense?
It is a well-known Kellyism. It is one of those things, yeah, that
right?
you say all the time that I love and adore. Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm being punished for it. I don't care. I'm fine.
Don't let them, and by them I mean Time Magazine, indicate to you why that you should stop using what I consider to be a very considerate phrase, because you're checking in with your listenership to see if they're on board with you, coming along on the vocal and verbal journey that you are bringing them on. Does that make sense? And it gives them an opportunity to go, no, not that anyone probably ever has, but I did have somebody say to me once. Oh, good. See, so just that one instance makes it worthwhile. So don't.
Yeah, I mean, I walked
Never
away.
change, Kelly. Never change. You be you. You do you, boo boo. You know what I mean? Like, you do you.
We're at the 1 hour, 4
we have
minute
eclipsed
mark.
the 1 hour mark. One nice thing about Squadcast is that, nice is a generous term, is that it has a big old red button at the top that tells you how long you've been talking for. Whereas previously,
so I no longer have to write it down on a Post-it and slide it across the table.
Derek, it's been like an hour and a half.
Like 90
so
plus.
I think we did discuss this morning when the dog barking and the chainsaw noise was getting to the point. We were going to just do like a 10-minute show. Be like, hi, we have a hard time recording shows. This is one reason. We're sorry. We miss you. Thanks. Stay fresh, cheese bags. But we decided to just go whole hog into the show. So here we are. We've done it. I think we've gone as far as we possibly can at this point.
I feel good. I do really too. Good.
It's great to be
celebrate
back.
with some licorice. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Great to be back on the saddle bell. I do have my bell somewhere. I just don't know where it is. And I've been looking for it the entire time we've been talking. And
mine was lost in the move.
Oh, no. A victim of the move. I'll send you a new one. And
I go to Staples like 1,000 times a week.
Where are your bells? Hi, can you point me to your bell aisle?
Is there a bell aisle? Is there like a corner? What is it called? What are they? A corner cap?
Yeah, an end cap. You got a bell end cap.
There you go.
Yeah, just for the bells.
Is your bell display still up and running after the holidays or no?
Right. Is that a seasonal? Is that a seasonal item? A bell? But we'll get that going for future episodes.
Yeah.
Of which there will be. There will be future episodes. We're getting over the hump of getting this one done, and then we'll get you more. I'm gonna find a way to make sure that Tito's not just constantly barking in the background of my recording.
Well, it's all that handmade vodka that he's making.
Oh my God.
Busy.
Stop getting into all of our homebrewed liquor. It'd be much better. But yeah,
I can't believe your dog is such an alcoholic.
Who would have thought? In this house, we're a dry house, except for our Chihuahua plus something. Because we have no idea what that dog is made up of. I did get a DNA test for Hannah.
I got
did
for
you?
Christmas?
Yeah, for Christmas.
I got 2 for Michelle.
Yes!
For Christmas.
Oh, awesome. I can't wait to hear the results. We haven't even done the test yet. It's sitting upstairs.
Santa brought them, not me.
To be clear, those were from Santa. But yes, we'll find out more about what Tito is comprised of. That's something we should review on the next show when we have the results. We should go through our dogs.
I mean, it should take 3-4 months to get this.
Yeah, it's very elaborate scientific lab operation. I'm not really at liberty to divulge the details, but it's
I can't really talk about it.
So we'll talk about that sometime. But thank you again, everyone, for being so patient. I assume
this is when I would normally thank our sponsors.
Sure. Had we written that information down or prepared in any way.
You know who you are, sponsors.
You know who you are. New year.
Hey! I'm doing some finger guns. Hey, chimp.
Shout out to Ron's Automotive. Shout out to Little City Cycles.
Doggy Styles Pet Grooming.
Doggy Styles Pet Grooming. We appreciate you.
The Pilardi Foundation.
Oh, the
Jesus
Pilardi Foundation
Christ.
already did get a shout out, but worth another.
Worth two.
And thanks for tuning in. Thank you in advance, Kelly, for figuring out how to download this show and then edit it and then put it on a thing.
It's totally going to be fine. It's totally going to be fine. Yeah, we'll figure it out. You send it to me and I will figure it out.
Okay, I appreciate that. And we appreciate you. Thanks for listening to us here on Bitter Coffee. And we'll talk to you next time, I'm sure.
We'll talk to you next time. We promise it will not be 4 months.
That's a bold statement, but we do. We do at this time promise that it won't be 4 months. We'll talk to you soon. Stay fresh,
All right.
douchebags.
Take care, guys. Bye.